What's up guys, in this video we're going to go over if you can terminate your contract early as a freelancer and if you can essentially fire your client. Stick around to the end to find out exactly how you can do that and if you can even do that. And also subscribe for more weekly content exactly like this video. One of the main benefits of being a freelancer, as I'm sure you already know, is that we get to enjoy freedoms that regular employees don't. We get to choose what contracts we want to do, we get to choose what projects we like to work with, and we even get to choose what clients we essentially want to work with. Sometimes that client that you really hope to build a relationship with just didn't end up working out, and now you want to back out of the job that you initially were super excited to be in. So to make this video super duper easy to understand, I'm going to break it down to 3 parts, which are number 1, reason to terminate your contract, number 2, the termination clause, and number 3, how to actually do it with templates that I'll provide. All the links and time codes will be in the description if you want to just jump around and make that a lot easier for yourself. Number 1, what is the reason why freelancers want to break the contract with a client that they're initially excited to be with? Some of the most common reasons I've seen to break the contract are actually, sometimes you might be overwhelmed with projects. This is one of the main reasons and the biggest reasons that I've seen is that you just have too many projects going on and you need to cut it down a little bit and focus on some really important ones. Another reason for breaking the contract is you might have gotten bored with the project. Maybe it's been going on for too long and it's just not exciting anymore and it's not the original thing that you signed up for. Sometimes even a client can be completely dishonest and just break the contract or an NDA to begin with. For this reason, it's important to carefully review the contract and look over any ambiguities that are written. Even ask your client to clarify some things before actually signing the contract. If you don't have a contract, I've made a lot of videos and I'll link them up here about why you need one, if you need one, when to use one, and how to actually make them with a really good tool called Hello Bonsai, and I'll leave a link down below for a referral code. You can get a free month off using that code. Sometimes even the client may be extremely difficult to work with, asking for unreasonable turnover time and also asking for impossible hours to work at. Sometimes even the client may be abusive to you or the work that you create. Also, freelancer burnout is definitely a real thing, and if your client doesn't let you keep up with yourself or with the time that you're working and create good projects, then sometimes it's better to just fire them as a whole and move on with your life. Sometimes you might have payment issues that the client couldn't pay, and that might be a substantial sum and you simply don't trust the client anymore to pay you those sums. Also, this recently happened to me, a change in the person in charge of a project, and you didn't really feel comfortable with the new person and leading the group that has to work on the project. I no longer felt comfortable, so I decided to terminate the contract with the client and move our separate ways. Sometimes you might not even have any of these reasons, but you just want to take some personal time off. I know that a lot of times freelancing is often mixed with your personal life and you don't really have time to separate that. So if you just want to take time to separate those apart, then make sure that your contract says that you can, and we'll go over that right now. Before you quit your freelancing job, you should be aware of any obligations or any termination contract that you have with yourself and your client. That way neither of you are in breach of a contract and you put yourself in risk. The termination terms will likely be in your contract, so make sure that you read over them to avoid paying any fees that might be written down. Number 2 in this contract termination guide is reviewing the terms of a contract. What does it actually say? I always recommend that freelancers sign a design contract or a freelancer contract before starting any project with a new client or even with the same client that they've been working on for a while. All the terms of the project and the client relationship should be written down in the contract itself, and it would also have all the details of the contract, such as payment, deadlines, and even termination clause and how to end the contract if it goes south. The termination clause is super important for any contract, even for you as a freelancer or for them as a client. If neither party is happy, then it's good to just have that option to be able to terminate right there and then whenever you want it to. Sometimes this involves fees and sometimes it doesn't, but we've all heard the stories of freelancers getting dropped the same day or not even getting an email back from a freelancer client, so it's extremely important to have that termination clause. So on average, how much notice should you give your clients before terminating the contract? Although a 2-week period is probably standard for many companies, giving them a 1-month notice gives them enough time to find another designer or another freelancer and gives you enough time to find another client. So on to the third part of the video and the most important, how do you actually terminate your contract? I'll leave down below a template to work, or you can just follow me. I'll have it all written down here. I just want to preface by saying that leaving your client or firing your client is not easy in any case. As I'm sure you know, the longer you work with them and the more relationship you develop with them, the harder it is to fire them. It's almost like firing a friend sometimes, or even letting go of someone that you actually respect and really admire. Before we get started, I want to give 4 tips on how to deal with this. Number 1 is to give plenty of notice to the client to make sure that they can find a replacement in time to take over your work. Number 2 is to communicate with a peaceful state of mind and not to ever discuss this in an angry state of mind. Number 3 is to try to be fair to the client and both to yourself. Number 4 is to always offer an alternative designer or another freelancer that you already know. This is always super important, and it's good to even refer some friends, which I'm sure they'll appreciate anyways. So the first example I'm going to give is by email. If you always communicate to your client by email, this is a great way to follow. I have some in-person and a more formal contract termination coming up, but this is just for the email side of it. Hi, and then the client's name. I'm emailing to let you know that I won't be able to take any work from now on. One of my projects has started taking much more of my time, so I have to scale down my freelancing business. Of course, I'll be happy to complete any projects that we're currently working on. Also, if you need a little bit of time to find a freelancer, that's totally okay. I'll be happy to assist you in the transition. Thank you so much for the time that we worked together. And then a small closing sentence. Ideally, you want the client to think that it's not you, it's me kind of situation, so they don't feel bad at all, and they have no other option but to say, okay, that's fine, just help me get a new freelancer to help me out with the work. If you've been working with a client for a long time, I wouldn't just email them. I'd actually call them if you can, or if you can actually go see them in person, go meet with them in their office and talk it out there. I found that it's a lot more personal and a lot more professional to do that way, and you'll make sure to get your point across in a polite and professional manner without actually leaving any hard feelings on the table. To make the termination completely official, you need to send a termination letter. Here is a contract termination template that you can use. You say, dear client name, I hereby terminate the existing employment relationship with company XYZ from this date to this date. Please confirm receipt of this letter in writing. And it's also sometimes really nice to just end with a thank you and then your name. Some of the things that you should add in the termination contract are name and address of the freelancer and the client, obviously, date of the termination and the notice date when the termination is actually going to end. The subject line of your email or of the letter should be contract termination, and also your signature, so it makes it completely official. Terminating a contract brings about a lot of difficulty and a lot of hardships sometimes. Sometimes you can also accidentally hurt people's feelings, even though that wasn't the intention. I hope that this video helped you clarify a few things with your contract and with the termination. If this helped you in any way, then please leave a like down below. Thank you so much for watching if you're still here, and I'll see you on the next video.